Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And I've got a lot of identities that I've been over the years, a lot of places that I've been over the years. And I've got my latest article up on freeamerican.com. A village begins with one house. Now, most of you know that I tried to do something called Liberty Villages for a while. And when I lost my property, when I sold my property in a semi-scam, I got the money, but I didn't get to develop the property the way I wanted. But what I put in the centerfold of my magazine years ago, in the former Liberty Villages, I used Cavco cabins. I got the prices on Cavco cabins, and I figured, well, that would be nice. It looked like cabins. And then I also looked at teepees and I looked at yurts. But other than price, you can get a teepee for $3,000, $5,000 delivered to you. It takes a truck to do it. For the same truck could bring a cabin, could haul a cabin to anywhere you were at. In my article, I referred to myself as the Eternal Traveler because I've been to 49 states, been through 49 states, lived in 5 or 6 of those. The Eternal Traveler was driving from Houston through hill country on Interstate 10, about an hour west of San Antonio. My eyes, and those of thousands of other travelers, were drawn to a Texas-sized sign on the eastbound access road touting tiny Texas houses. If you take the time to unravel this seeming contradiction of a tiny house in Texas, you'll be greatly rewarded, architecturally speaking, and quite possibly motivated by an unexpected opportunity. A few of Brad Kittel's creations are visible from the highway, but until you walk on those solid, beautiful, solid wood floors that form the base of every tiny Texas house, and you feel the energy that flows through the very walls, you cannot fully appreciate the beauty of the ingredients and the craftsmanship that goes into a tiny Texas house. Stop it. Now, Brad will tell you that he started building tiny Texas houses to show people just how big a tiny house could feel, since no one thought such a small space could be habitable. He succeeded admirably. Now, this was not Brad's first rodeo. He created the first cyber cafe in Austin after renovating the neighborhood. Now, crack dealers and prostitutes left, and what was left behind was an award-winning, upscale, high-traffic shopping area in Austin. Then he went on to create Discovery Architectural Antiques and grow it into one of the largest businesses of its kind in the country, with a giant inventory in the town of Gonzales, which still has the cannon that they told Santa Ana to come and take. Actually, I think they gave the cannon back sometime over the history. But these tiny Texas houses, built by Brad Kittel for the last 6 years, are built with 99% pure salvage building materials. All of the wood, the doors, the floors, the windows, the tubs, the sinks, 99% of the hardware, and even the roofs are salvaged. Only the insulation, electric, plumbing, lines, and nails, and other elements need to be new in a tiny Texas house. They use non-toxic isolane foam insulation, high-low voltage wiring, solar, wind power, black-gray water separation to create a new generation of housing designed to provide minimalist, eco-conscious people the opportunity to create housing alternatives they can afford and even create themselves. The success of tiny Texas houses in the last 6 years and the use of Brad's pure salvage principles, which are teachable, duplicable, led to the creation of a pure salvage renaissance fair right next door to the tiny Texas houses. Now, Brad sees this as an economic opportunity developing. Group participation, living, and even subsistence can come from the salvage hunters who join with salvage miners to make the materials available for the salvage builders to create the next 4 generations of housing. He is talking with people all over the country about this salvage renaissance. You can go see his links. They're up on the Free American site. You can see his Facebook site. You can see pictures after picture after picture of the houses. All of these houses, by the way, are named after the owners. What he's done here, folks, by building with quality materials that have already been outgassed and cured decades ago with little more than tung oil, linseed oil paints, and other ancient formulas, it is possible to build simply, adapting to the materials, and create houses that'll be affordable. Now, I've been looking and working with the book that Brad has written on this. We're going through it chapter by chapter, and we're going to help do a layout. You can have a non-profit mentor to coordinate getting large old buildings in areas that would benefit from the jobs and training skills that come with what he calls a tiny Texas outpost and a village scenario. Now, many clients have bought tiny Texas houses. Some have used them for extra space, but many live in them full-time. Brad says, I believe by the response we've gotten, people are willing to buy them at the prices I'm asking now, and many more would if we could produce them more affordably. That's possible if we can do the salvage mining and salvage building locally. Then the prices for the materials and the transportation could be lower, thus reducing the cost of a tiny Texas house dramatically. Now, Brad says, as I have learned by experience, having the material come in, get processed, and move out quickly to become houses will substantially reduce the cost of warehousing, taxes, and labor. The benefits of a massive inventory are offset by the cost of holding them and the liability from the loss due to fire. Now, there should be ample income to allow everyone in the process to make a good living and fund a number of elements in these tiny Texas villages and outpost plans. I believe we're calling these tiny Texas territories. That's what the tiny Texas house concept is intended to facilitate. Depending on the size of the house, it could easily provide $15,000 to $20,000 in labor and use $5,000 or less in materials to create a single house. There's a good living to be had for everyone involved in creating durable structures with unmatched longevity. These tiny Texas houses and you really can't appreciate it from the pictures, folks. They look small from the outside. It's because they're built with porches that fold down. They're built to a specific height so they can get under all the bridges. They're all built 12 inches wide. Porches fold down. Roofs for porches fold down. Porches just be stacked up and attached. And they're transportable. The less distance we have to transport them, the better it is for you. This is what the tiny Texas house concept is intended to facilitate. Depending on the size of the house, again, rather than promote built-in obsolescence, which appears to have become the mantra in modern industry, they are focusing here at the tiny Texas houses on I-10. You can see these houses, and we get people stop in every day to walk through these houses. And rather than promote the built-in obsolescence, they're really focusing and exceed any standard being used today. But the quality of the house is not all that makes them such a good value. They're also cute, cozy, and portable. So there is a potential for larger homes to become obsolete for great portions of the population as the economic crisis emerges as a factor, in addition to rising food costs. It's only logical that if that occurs, people will be looking for solutions that would have been considered feasible over only two decades ago. While much of the building material resources have been destroyed as waste, all is not lost. Enough wood, bricks, and salvage exist to house an entire generation right now. Better still, the houses we build from salvage have the potential to last for a century or more and could form new energy-efficient housing communities. The goal is to continuously develop solutions to the many challenges that will arise as people in different regions converge with Brad's philosophy of salvage mining and salvage building. The movement towards salvage building and its facilitation through salvage hunters will spread quickly given the financial incentives. But more importantly, it could provide 1 million skilled jobs, training, and nearly instant results that tiny Texas houses can illustrate. Regional villages will be able to consolidate processing, housing, and even packaging, which will create even more training and jobs. It will cost the least to do it in rural areas near the cities, where the land is cheaper and the cost of warehouse will be less, as the value of the buildings sitting empty is less. The incentives to the communities to participate is obvious, given the potential for job creation and the elimination of nuisance houses, as well as new houses that create even more jobs. From what I've seen, his operations can be easily replicated every few hundred miles without saturation issues well into the next decade. Rarely are there solutions that can be applied so quickly and use pre-existing infrastructures left behind by industries that moved their labor cost overseas. Now, let's just check here in the chat room. As I just did yesterday, we talked about the hemp crop, and that links to the drug war. I did a little bit more on that earlier. Okay, what's happening here on this? Yes, and this tiny Texas house, you may not be aware of this. The tiny Texas houses, with its Facebook presence, with its YouTube presence, with its own website, we're talking about thousands of people that are aware of this, that know about this. And it's possible. It's really possible. You know, I've been working, as I was working on this story, you know, I got to talk to people, I got to escort them, I got to show them the houses, and I got to see the looks on their faces. You have been programmed by television, by the advertising industry, by the government, by the bankers, to buy $100,000 boxes that'll deteriorate, that'll outgas, that have potentially fatal effects on living around all of this, these fumes, all of these gases, and we've even got probably more problems. How do you change that? How do you change that? By what Brad is doing here at Tiny Texas Houses. And all of the article that I've written is here. It's up on my website. You can see all of the information, and you can link it, and you can go there, and you can see this is not a flash in the pan operation. Before he created Tiny Texas Houses, with the inventory that he had accumulated in pretty extensive warehousing, he was able to build everything he's built now. Now it's time to take it up a step, take it up a notch. Start bringing people here, start building on the traffic, that we've got here. And we got tremendous advertising right there by the freeway from the houses themselves. What we need, what Brad needs, are people that want to do something, that want to build on this, that understand the potential that is available here. It's pretty incredible. And we're going to be putting this information in books. And there's more, even more to that. But I'm just concentrating. Right now. I'm telling you that there is an opportunity. Now, we've already got people that have put houses back here, back in the woods there, which isn't very far off of the interstate, just far enough for it to be quiet, for you to have the privacy. And we don't really care where you put the houses. They ship them all over the country. And all you got to do, you can buy them here. They don't finance. Here. You got to dig up the money to get it, and that's an opportunity too. If some investors buy these houses and rent them out, we got the property to sell them on. We'd like to see villages spring up around the salvage operation, because people, you know, one of the comments that I get when people look at these houses, well, you don't see windows like this, windows that you can raise with a fingertip. You don't see windows like this at Home Depot. Doesn't happen. doesn't happen. And there are reasons that the older glass is better than the double paned. Those don't last. They don't work. These houses work. I can tell you, they work. I walked through them. I've walked through them on a regular basis. I've escorted people through them. They are pretty incredible. They're pretty incredible. Let's go. Let me check on here. And here. If you want to call in, the number is 646-915-8774. We will take callers today. Now, this is an American-grown resource that can only be harvested by people who live in America, and it will provide houses for the citizens as well as create a possible export industry. It could play a significant role in solving America's need for housing, jobs, and the revitalization of historically industrial communities around the country where the industries are gone and empty, obsolete buildings or houses abound, presently awaiting demolition, not salvage. What we do not use in this country could be exported and warehoused for generations ahead. We stock oil reserves. Why not this valuable resource? An invisible commodity. Now, the concept of a tiny Texas village is simply one of bringing together small groups of like-minded people, preferably at least 10, on a space as small as an acre. Then, it is possible to have enough participants to share and care for a common organic garden and take care of other community functions that come with group living. As with some other good plans that exist, envision common houses for cooking, eating, and gathering other than the tiny Texas house each person lives in. The tiny Texas Inn could be the common cookhouse and meeting area. And we even have a tiny Texas chapel for spiritual meetings, and even an old-fashioned one-room schoolhouse that would be great for homeschooling and within the community. The idea is to create options for a simpler lifestyle where the people are willing to sacrifice space and things to free up their most valuable asset, time. We can create living spaces of all sizes using salvage material so people do not have to destroy the environment or give up so many of their life hours to pay for housing. We can join Europe, Japan, and other societies where space is a luxury, not just to own, but also to heat and cool. In most other countries, the easy-to-consume building materials and resources were used up centuries ago. They treasure their trees and water, while we are just waking up from a long party where the resources were abundant and the price was hard for our society to comprehend until we used them all up. Now, what you need to understand, folks, we're not talking about junk here. A 100-year-old building, 100-year-old building materials came from some of the best trees ever grown or likely to be grown in this country. It's amazing that we will throw them away rather than use them up again, rather than cut them up to use again. We protect our tiny remaining virgin forest with a vengeance, yet let the product of the past logging of the rest of the virgin forests be thrown in the dump to rot. It's a rare tree that will ever grow to be 100 years old in our country again unless it is protected. Even now, our last stands of virgin forest are under siege by lumber companies Why not just reharvest the incredible lumber made from the trees that have already been slaughtered? Every house we build without cutting down a tree makes a difference in the big picture. If the people build smaller, less wood is needed. If they use salvage, no trees need to be cut. An entire village can be built from wood without ever cutting a single tree down, and built to last for centuries. Therefore, with a smaller footprint for each house, more houses could go on each acre without crowding the space. From having trees, gardens, and other features that allow for nature to share the land, families can live together without living under the same roof, thus allowing them to be in their own space, an essential part of independence.